Word problems, optional problem. So this question is really just if you need to see a second example. This question that's here is the question number 3 in today's practice, if you want to go through this with me. So it says the number of forks is 3 more than double the number of knives. There are 78 forks and knives in total. How many of each are there? So when I am tackling a word problem, there are 5 things I need to do. I need to write let statements to introduce the variable that we're using in our question. I need to write an equation. I need to solve that equation. I need to take that answer, find the answers to what the question is asking, and then write a concluding sentence. So when I'm reading through my question, the first thing I like to do is identify what my unknowns are in this question. So the final sentence says, how many of each are there? What does that mean, how many of each? How many forks and how many knives? So I'm going to start by saying, let something be the number of forks. And I'm going to let something be the number of knives. Now, when I read through the question, there should be 2 different things in my question. There should be a comparison sentence, and there should be a total of some sort that I can build my equation around. So that very first sentence that says the number of forks is 3 more than double the number of knives, that's a comparison. It is telling me the relationship between the number of forks and the number of knives. I can use that information to build my let statements. Now, the second sentence says there are 78 forks and knives in total. So I know the total number is 78, and I should be able to use that to build my equation. So I'm going to take my comparison sentence. The last thing mentioned in my comparison is the knives. So I'm going to let X be the number of knives. And that's because we're comparing the number of forks to the number of knives. So it's easier if I let X be the number of knives. You could let X be the number of forks, but it would be trickier to figure out what the knives are. So I'm going to reread my comparison. The number of forks is 3 more. More is a word for addition. So it's 3 more than double. Double means times 2, the number of knives. So 3 more than double the number of knives. So if I take the number of knives X and I multiply that by 2, that's double the number of knives. And then if I add 3, that is 3 more than double the number of knives. So from here, I'm going to make an equation. And I like to start with a word equation. If I take the number of forks and the number of knives and I add that together, it should equal 78. And then I'm going to take my expression for forks. It is 2x plus 3. And then plus my expression for knives, which is x. And that equals 78. And now I have an equation that I can solve. So I notice that we have like terms. I'm going to add together my like terms first. 2x plus 1x makes 3x. And then plus 3 equals 78. And then we're just going to solve. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. So 3x equals 78, take away 3 is 75. And then I am going to divide both sides by 3. So 75 divided by 3 is 25. So I got that x equals 25. So at this point, I often think that maybe I should be done. So I am just going to check my little list again here. I've done let statements. We made an equation. We solved that equation. But now I need to go and find the actual answers and then write a sentence. Now, the question said how many of each are there? So I need to know how many forks and how many knives. So my let statement that we started with said the number of forks was 2x plus 3. So I'm going to write that my forks are 2x plus 3. And we let our number of knives be x. So I'm going to do my knives are x. Now, what did we get for x? We got 25. So everywhere I see an x here, I'm going to put back in that number 25. So I'm going to do for forks 2 times 25 plus 3. 2 times 25 is 50 plus 3 is 53. So there should be 53 forks. And then for the knives, x is just 25. There should be 25 knives. Now, if I want to check to see if I'm right, I know there's 78 altogether. So if I add together 53 and 25, I should hopefully get 78, which I did. So I just need to finish off with a sentence that says, therefore, there are 53 forks and 25 knives.